Why were you so sure? Times Square, New York City, December 31st, 2024, 10:52 p.m. Ryan Seacrest found the dismissed security guard at the back entrance of the Times Square VIP platform, standing alone in the cold December night, watching the crowd of nearly 1 million people packed into the most famous intersection in the world. It was 10:52 p.m. on New Year's Eve, 68 minutes until midnight. The biggest broadcast of Ryan's year, his 19th year hosting Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve, was about to go live to over 1 billion viewers worldwide. And 5 minutes ago, this security guard had been reassigned for overreacting. "Hey, I'm Ryan," he said, approaching her. "I overheard what happened up there. Can I ask, why were you so certain that bag was dangerous?" The security guard turned. She was 42 years old, medium height, short dark hair, wearing a black security company jacket with a name tag that read Mitchell S. Her face showed weathered lines around the eyes, not from age, but from something else. Something Ryan recognized from the documentaries he'd watched, the veterans he'd interviewed over the years. That was the face of someone who'd seen combat. "Sir, I don't want to cause you any trouble," she said. "I've been reassigned," the event coordinator said. "I don't care what the event coordinator said," Ryan interrupted gently. "I'm asking you, why were you so certain?" Sarah Mitchell, Captain Sarah Mitchell, U.S. Army, retired, looked at Ryan Seacrest, at the man who'd hosted Times Square New Year's Eve since 2006. The man currently standing on a VIP platform less than 100 feet from a package she knew was an explosive device. "Because I've seen 47 of them, sir," she said quietly. "In Iraq. I was military police, convoy security, 2005 to 2008. 3 deployments. IEDs, improvised explosive devices, were the biggest threat we faced. I learned to recognize them." Ryan went completely still. "You think that bag up there is a real bomb?" "I think it needs to be examined by NYPD bomb squad. Immediately. And I think everyone needs to be off that platform while they do it." The event coordinator said it was just a camera bag left by media. Sarah shook her head. "Sir, with respect, I've examined that bag from every safe angle I could. The weight distribution is wrong. It sits too heavy on one side. There's a wire visible through the partially open zipper. There are no identification tags, and every professional media bag has tags. And the placement," she pointed up at the VIP platform. "It's positioned next to a support column. That's textbook placement to maximize structural damage and casualty radius." Ryan felt his stomach drop. How certain are you?" Sarah looked him directly in the eyes. "In Iraq, we encountered 47 IEDs over 3 deployments. I personally identified 31 before they detonated. We disabled them, saved convoy lives. The 16 I missed, or couldn't stop in time, killed 4 soldiers and wounded 23 others. I carry those numbers every day, sir." She paused. "I'm certain enough that if my daughter were on that platform, I'd carry her off myself. Right now." Ryan made his decision in 3 seconds. "Come with me. We're evacuating that platform." 10:55 p.m., the confrontation. Ryan Seacrest and Sarah Mitchell walked back onto the VIP platform together. The event coordinator, a man in his 50s named Robert, wearing a headset and holding a tablet, saw them coming and immediately intercepted. "Mr. Seacrest, I apologize for the disruption this security guard caused. She's been reassigned and—" "Robert, we're evacuating this platform," Ryan said calmly but firmly. "Right now? Everyone off. I'm calling NYPD bomb squad." Robert's face went white, then red. "Sir, we cannot evacuate the VIP section 65 minutes before midnight. Do you understand who's up here? Major donors, city officials, celebrities, ABC executives. This will be an absolute embarrassment if it turns out to be nothing, and it will be a tragedy if it turns out to be something," Ryan said. "Sarah, show me the bag again." Sarah led Ryan to the suspicious package, keeping everyone at least 15 feet back, her training automatic even in civilian life. The black duffel bag sat against a support column, partially concealed by decorative bunting. To most people, it looked like abandoned equipment in a chaotic event space. To Sarah Mitchell, it looked like the thing that had killed her friends. "Look at how it sits," she said, pointing but not touching. "The weight's wrong. And here," she indicated the zipper. "You can see wire. That's not camera cable. That's different." And the placement, this column is structural. A device here would compromise the platform integrity and maximize casualties from both explosion and collapse. A VIP guest, a wealthy Manhattan real estate developer in an expensive suit, overheard and scoffed. This is ridiculous. Ryan, surely you're not taking this seriously. Some paranoid security guard seeing bombs everywhere. Ryan turned to face the man. Sir, this paranoid security guard is a decorated Iraq War veteran who spent 3 years identifying explosives that killed American soldiers. I'm taking her very seriously, and you need to leave this platform. Now, the developer sputtered. I donated $50,000. Then you'll be alive to donate again next year, Ryan said. Off the platform. Everyone. That's not a request. ABC producers approached, concerned. Ryan, we go live in 30 minutes. I know. We'll figure it out. But first, everyone off this platform. Sarah stood nearby, watching Ryan Seacrest, one of the most famous broadcasters in America, shut down his own show, risk humiliation, trust a security guard nobody else believed. And for the first time in hours, she felt something she hadn't felt since being dismissed. Hope that she was wrong. But she knew she wasn't. 11:03 p.m. NYPD Bomb Squad. The NYPD Bomb Squad arrived in 8 minutes. Full protective gear, bomb disposal robot, K-9 unit, the works. Times Square was the most heavily secured location in America on New Year's Eve. Any bomb threat was taken seriously. Lieutenant Frank Torres, NYPD Bomb Squad, 40-year veteran, approached the VIP platform. Ryan and Sarah met him at the perimeter. Who spotted the device? Torres asked. She did, Ryan said, gesturing to Sarah. Captain Sarah Mitchell, U.S. Army, retired. Iraq War vet. Military police, convoy security. Torres looked at Sarah with instant professional respect, one bomb tech to another. Captain, what did you see? Sarah gave a precise, military-style brief. Black duffel bag, approximately 18 by 12 by 10 inches, positioned against structural column. Weight distribution indicates 15 to 20 pounds concentrated in center section. Visible wire protruding from partially open zipper inconsistent with camera equipment. No identification tags. Placement consistent with VBIED or structure-borne IED designed to maximize casualties and cause platform collapse. Torres nodded slowly. You qualified EOD? No, sir. But I worked with EOD teams on 47 IED disposals in Iraq. I know the signatures. Stay here, Torres said. We're going to take a look. For the next 12 minutes, Sarah Mitchell, Ryan Seacrest, and several hundred evacuated VIP guests watched the NYPD Bomb Squad robot approach the suspicious package. The robot's camera fed to monitors. Torres and his team examined every angle. At 11:15 p.m., Torres walked back to the perimeter. His face was grim. It's an IED, he said. Confirmed. Not sophisticated, but functional. Cell phone detonator rigged to timer. Set to activate at 11:59 p.m., 1 minute before midnight. The crowd went silent. If it had detonated? Ryan asked, his voice barely steady. Torres looked at the VIP platform, now empty, but an hour ago packed with 200 people. The device itself would have caused significant casualties in a 15-foot radius. But the placement against that support column, he paused. The platform would have collapsed. Everyone on it would have fallen 20 feet onto concrete. We're looking at potential deaths in the dozens, injuries in the hundreds. He turned to Sarah. Ma'am, you just saved a lot of lives. Flashback. Iraq, 2007. Route Irish, Baghdad. 17 years earlier, Sarah Mitchell was a very different person. Captain Sarah Mitchell, 25 years old, sat in the passenger seat of the lead HMMWV in a 5-vehicle convoy rolling down Route Irish, the deadliest road in Iraq, the 7-mile stretch from Baghdad International Airport to the Green Zone. A road where IEDs killed more American soldiers than any other location in the war. It was 0600 hours. Dawn. The convoy was transporting supplies and personnel. Routine mission. Except in Iraq, nothing was routine. Sarah's job. Spot the IEDs before they killed her soldiers. She'd been doing this job for 11 months. First deployment, straight out of military police school. She'd learned fast. You either learned or you died. She'd learned to recognize the signs. Fresh dirt on roads that were driven daily, dead animals by the roadside, favored IED concealment. trash piles that appeared overnight, parked cars that didn't belong, wires crossing roads. She'd found 19 IEDs in 11 months. Saved countless lives. Lost count of how many convoys she'd protected. But she'd also missed some. Or found them too late. For Kia, 23 wounded. She remembered every name. SSG Michael Rodriguez. Stepped out of vehicle to investigate suspicious trash pile. IED detonated. Kia. PFC Jennifer Davis. Vehicle hit buried IED on Route Irish. Blast tore through floor. Kia. CPL James Chun. Checkpoint VBIED. Suicide bomber. 3 Kia, including James. SPC Maria Santos. Roadside EFP. Explosively formed penetrator. Penetrated vehicle armor. Kia. Those names were tattooed on Sarah's soul. The ones she couldn't save. But on this morning, June 15th, 2007, Route Irish, 0612 hours, Sarah spotted something. A trash pile. Left side of road. 50 meters ahead. It hadn't been there yesterday. Sarah had driven this route 40 times. She knew every landmark, every pothole, every piece of permanent garbage. This was new. Stop the convoy, she called on radio. Possible IED, 11 o'clock, 50 meters. The convoy stopped. Sarah dismounted with her team, 2 other MPs and an EOD tech. They approached carefully, examined the trash pile from distance. And there it was, 3 155mm artillery shells wired together, cell phone detonator, buried under garbage. A massive IED. Big enough to destroy the lead vehicle and damage the second. Big enough to kill everyone in both. Yodi disabled it. The convoy continued. Mission complete. Sarah had saved 12 lives that morning. 12 soldiers who went home to their families because she'd spotted trash that didn't belong. But 2 weeks later, on a different convoy, she missed one. The IED detonated under the third vehicle. Sergeant First Class Marcus Williams, 34 years old, father of 3, died instantly. Sarah was in the lead vehicle, heard the explosion, ran back, found Marcus, held his hand as he died, promised him she'd tell his family he didn't suffer. He did, but Sarah lied, because that's what you do for the dying. And that night, in her bunk on base, Sarah cried for 4 hours. Because she'd saved 12 lives 2 weeks ago, but she'd missed this one. And Marcus Williams was dead because she hadn't been good enough. That's what carrying 47 IED encounters means. You remember the 31 you stopped, but you never forget the 16 you missed. Back to Times Square, 11:17 p.m. Sarah stood at the perimeter of the VIP platform, watching NYPD bomb squad work, and she was crying. Not from relief. Not from vindication. From memory. Because that IED in Times Square, if she'd been wrong, if she'd stayed silent after being dismissed, if Ryan hadn't listened, that device would have detonated in 43 minutes. Would have killed dozens. Injured hundreds. Just like Route Irish. Just like the 16 she'd missed. Ryan noticed. Walked over quietly. Sarah, you okay? I'm thinking about Sergeant First Class Marcus Williams, she said, voice thick with emotion. June 29th, 2007. Route Irish. IED I missed. He died. 34 years old. 3 kids. She wiped her eyes. I've been carrying that for 17 years. And tonight I saw another one. And I almost, her voice broke. If you hadn't listened, if they'd kept me away, if I'd just accepted being dismissed. But you didn't, Ryan said gently. You fought for it. You made me listen. And because of that, hundreds of people are going to see 2025, including me. Sarah looked at him. In Iraq, they called me Captain Paranoid. My soldiers, my commanders, they joked about it. I checked everything. Examined every trash pile, every parked car, every piece of disturbed dirt. I slowed down convoys. Made us late. Annoyed everyone. But you save lives, Ryan said. 31 times. And tonight makes 32. She paused. But I still remember the 16 I missed. I always will. Ryan was quiet for a moment. Then, Sarah, I need to ask you something. In about 40 minutes, I'm going live to 1 billion people. They need to know what happened tonight. They need to know who you are. Will you let me tell them? Sarah hesitated. Sir, I'm just a security guard. I was doing my job. No, Ryan said firmly. You're a war hero who came home and kept serving. Kept protecting people. Even when nobody listened. Especially when nobody listened. That's not just anything. He paused. 1 billion people are going to watch midnight. Let them see a real hero. Please. Sarah nodded slowly. Okay. 11:55 p.m., live on ABC. Ryan Seacrest stood in Times Square, microphone in hand, 1 million people in the crowd. Cameras transmitting to over 1 billion viewers in more than 190 countries. This was the moment, the biggest moment of his professional year. And he went off script. Before we count down to 2025, Ryan said, his voice carrying across Times Square and across the world, I need to tell you something that happened tonight. Something that almost didn't happen. The crowd quieted. The control room in New York went silent. ABC producers exchanged confused glances. This wasn't in the rundown. About an hour ago, Ryan continued, a security guard on our VIP platform noticed something suspicious. A bag that didn't belong. She reported it as a potential explosive device. The crowd murmured. Ryan pressed on. Her supervisor dismissed her. Told her she was overreacting. A VIP guest complained about her. Said she was being paranoid, creating panic. She was reassigned. Told to go work somewhere else. And that bag, that suspicious bag she'd identified, it stayed up here. On this platform. Where I was standing. Where hundreds of people were standing. Ryan paused, letting the implications sink in. I overheard what happened. I found that security guard. And I asked her one question. Why were you so sure? He gestured to the side of the stage. Sarah, can you come here, please? Sarah Mitchell walked onto the most famous stage in the world. 1 billion people watching. She was still wearing her security company jacket. Still had her radio. She looked terrified. Ryan put his hand on her shoulder. This is Captain Sarah Mitchell, United States Army, retired. She served 3 deployments in Iraq from 2005 to 2008. Military police. Convoy security. Her job was to identify IEDs, improvised explosive devices, roadside bombs, before they killed American soldiers. The Times Square crowd erupted in applause. Sarah's face flushed. Sarah, Ryan said, can you tell everyone what you did in Iraq? Sarah's voice was quiet but steady. I ran security for convoys on the deadliest roads in Baghdad. Route Irish. Route Tampa. I learned to recognize IEDs. To spot the signs before they detonated. How many IEDs did you encounter? 47 over 3 deployments. And how many did you stop? 31. We disabled them before detonation. Ryan turned to the camera. 31 bombs. 31 times Sarah saved lives. American soldiers who came home because of her. He paused. And tonight, she identified number 32. Because that bag she reported, NYPD bomb squad confirmed it. It was a real IED. Set to detonate at 11:59 p.m., 1 minute before midnight. Right where I'm standing. Right where hundreds of people were standing. The crowd went completely silent. 1 million people processing what they'd just heard. If that device had detonated, Ryan continued, his voice tight with emotion. NYPD estimates dozens of deaths, hundreds of injuries, platform collapse. We're standing here right now, about to celebrate 2025, because Sarah Mitchell refused to stay quiet. Even after being dismissed. Even after being called paranoid. She found me. She made me listen. And we evacuated this platform. Ryan turned to Sarah. The 16 IEDs you mentioned. The ones you didn't stop. Do you still think about them? Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Every day, sir. I remember their names. The soldiers who died. Sergeant First Class Marcus Williams, Sarah said, her voice breaking. That's one. June 29th, 2007. He had 3 kids. I held his hand when he died. I've carried that for 17 years. Ryan's own eyes were wet now. Sarah, tonight you stopped number 32. How many people do you think you saved? NYPD estimated. How many? Ryan pressed gently. Sarah looked at the evacuated VIP platform, at the crowd, at Ryan. Maybe 200. If the platform had collapsed. 200 people, Ryan said to the camera. 200 people are alive right now because a security guard, who someone tried to fire for overreacting, refused to ignore what she'd learned in war. He paused. Ladies and gentlemen, when we count down to midnight in 4 minutes, I want you to remember something. We're counting down because of heroes like Sarah. Veterans who come home and keep serving. Who see threats we don't see. Who protect us even when we dismiss them. Even when we don't listen. Even when we call them paranoid. Ryan turned to Sarah. You're not paranoid, Captain. You're a hero. Thank you for your service. In Iraq. And tonight. The Times Square crowd erupted. 1 million people cheering, screaming, crying. Sarah stood on that stage, tears streaming down her face. And for the first time since Marcus Williams died in 2007, she felt like maybe, saving 32 was enough to balance the 16 she'd missed. 11:59 p.m., the countdown. Ryan invited Sarah to stay on stage. Help me count down to 2025. You earned it. Sarah stood beside Ryan Seacrest as 1 million people in Times Square and 1 billion watching worldwide began the countdown. 10. Sarah thought about Route Irish, 2007. 9. She thought about the 31 IDs she'd stopped. 8. She thought about the 16 soldiers who'd died. 7. She thought about Marcus Williams's 3 kids. 6. She thought about tonight. The bag. The dismissal. 5. She thought about Ryan listening when no one else would. 4. She thought about NYPD confirming the bomb. 3. She thought about 200 people who'd go home alive. 2. She thought about her daughter watching at home. 1. Happy New Year. Confetti fell from the sky. Balloons dropped. Fireworks exploded over Times Square. The crowd screamed, kissed, hugged, celebrated. And Ryan Seacrest turned to Sarah Mitchell and hugged her, and the cameras caught it. 1 billion people watching a broadcaster thank a hero. Sarah cried. Not from sadness this time. From relief. From release. From the weight of 17 years finally, maybe, feeling a little lighter. Because tonight, she'd saved 200 lives. Number 32. January 1st, 2025, The Aftermath. By sunrise, Sarah Mitchell's story had gone viral. Hashtag Captain Mitchell was trending worldwide. News organizations were calling. The White House released a statement thanking her for her service. NYPD offered her a job in their security consulting division. The security company that had dismissed her issued a public apology. Sarah declined to return. But the moment Sarah would remember forever happened at 2:47 a.m., after the broadcast ended, after the crowds dispersed, after the confetti was swept away. Ryan Seacrest found her near the now-empty VIP platform. The bomb had been removed. The area was clear. Just the two of them in the cold New York night. Sarah, Ryan said, I need to tell you something. When you told me about the 16 IEDs you missed, about Marcus Williams, I saw something in your face. Guilt. Like you blamed yourself. Sarah nodded. I do. Every day. You shouldn't, Ryan said firmly. You encountered 47 IEDs. 47 times you walked toward danger to protect others. You stopped 31. That's not failure. That's heroism. The 16 you missed, those weren't your fault. You didn't plant those bombs. You didn't detonate them. You tried to stop everyone. And most of the time, you succeeded. He paused. Tonight, I watched you do something I'll never forget. You were dismissed, humiliated, reassigned. And you could have stayed quiet. Could have said, not my problem anymore. Could have let that bomb sit there. But you didn't. You found me. You made me listen. You saved 200 lives. Ryan's voice was thick with emotion. That's who you are, Sarah. Not the 16 you missed. The 32 you stopped. That's your legacy. Sarah was crying again. Thank you, she whispered. For listening. For believing me. For nothing, Ryan interrupted. You're the hero here. I just had the sense to listen. They stood in silence for a moment, looking at Times Square. Empty now. Peaceful. The site of a tragedy that never happened because one veteran refused to be silent. What are you going to do now? Ryan asked. Sarah smiled slightly. NYPD offered me a job. Security consulting. Teaching officers to recognize threats. I think I'll take it. Good, Ryan said. The world needs more people like you. People who see what others miss. Who protect us even when we don't listen. Epilogue. Marcus Williams's family. 3 days after New Year's Eve, Sarah Mitchell received a phone call from a woman named Jennifer Williams, Marcus Williams's widow. I saw you on TV, Jennifer said. Ryan Seacrest's broadcast. You mentioned Marcus. You said you held his hand when he died. I did, Sarah said, her voice breaking. I'm so sorry I couldn't save him. I've carried that guilt for 17 years. Stop, Jennifer interrupted. Sarah, I need you to hear something. After Marcus died, the Army sent me a letter. It said he was in a convoy that you led. That you'd saved that convoy 12 times before. That you were the reason most of his unit came home alive. Sarah was silent, stunned. My husband died in war, Jennifer continued. That's a tragedy. But he served with you. He was protected by you. And because of you, most of his brothers came home. Their families got to keep them. That's not failure, Sarah. That's service. Jennifer paused. Marcus used to write me letters from Iraq. In one of them, he mentioned you. He said Captain Mitchell is paranoid about IEDs. Slows us down all the time. Thank God for her. Sarah started crying. You saved my husband 12 times before you couldn't save him the 13th, Jennifer said. And on New Year's Eve, you saved 200 more people. You honored Marcus's memory. You did what he would have wanted. You kept protecting people. Don't carry guilt for the ones you couldn't save. Carry pride for the hundreds you did. After the call ended, Sarah sat in her apartment for a long time. And for the first time since June 29, 2007, she felt something she hadn't felt. Peace. Not complete. Not perfect. But something. Because Jennifer Williams was right. Sarah had saved 32. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Present day, January 2025. Sarah Mitchell is 42 years old now. She works for NYPD as a security threat consultant, teaching officers to recognize IEDs and suspicious packages. She's trained over 500 officers in her first 2 weeks. And on her desk, in her new office at NYPD headquarters, she keeps 3 photographs. The first, her convoy team in Iraq, 2007. 12 soldiers. 11 of them alive because of her. 1 Marcus, gone. The second, Times Square, New Year's Eve 2024. Ryan Seacrest hugging her on stage, confetti falling, 1 billion people watching. The third, a screenshot of a text message from Ryan, sent January 1st, 2025. Thank you for saving my life. And for teaching me to listen. You're a hero. Never forget that. Beside the photographs, Sarah keeps a small card. On it, handwritten, are 32 numbers. Each one represents a stopped IED. 31 from Iraq. 1 from Times Square. And beneath the numbers, 1 sentence. For Marcus, and the 16 I couldn't save. I'm still protecting people. Sarah Mitchell's story reminds us, when someone says they see danger, listen, especially if they've trained in war to recognize it. When someone is dismissed for being too careful, remember, careful keeps people alive. And when a veteran tells you they've seen something before, believe them. Because the paranoid security guard might be the only thing standing between you and tragedy. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe to Empowering Stories to honor our veterans. Have you ever been dismissed for raising a safety concern, only to be proven right? Share your experience in the comments. Remember, the dismissed security guard might be the hero who saves your life. Just ask Ryan Seacrest. Honor our veterans. Listen to their warnings.